The Stars in the Sky. Once, in a far-off land, there lived a young girl who loved to sit at her window at night and watch the stars as they twinkled and glittered in the black sky. Sometimes the stars seemed like shining jewels. Sometimes they were like crystal tears. And sometimes they seemed to be calling to her. She watched them through the fall. She watched them through the winter. She watched them through the spring, and one summer night she set off to find them. She climbed out of her window and bravely walked into the dark night. She walked and walked until she found herself beside a little pond. "Good evening," she said. "I am seeking the stars in the sky. Can you help me?" "I surely can," whispered the pond. "Can't you see them shining here on my face? They keep me awake at night. Jump right in and see if you can catch one." So the young girl jumped in, but each time she reached out for one of the stars, she would catch only a handful of water. So she thanked the little pond and went on. She walked on over the fields until she came to a chattering brook. "Good evening," she said. "I'm trying to find the stars in the sky. Can you help me?" "Oh, yes," giggled the brook. "They're always tickling my rocks and water. Come in and catch one if you can." So the young girl danced from rock to rock, but not a star did she find. Again, she thanked the silly brook and went on. She stopped to rest on a big gray stone and was feeling very sad indeed when she heard some music playing nearby. She jumped up and climbed to the top of the hill, and when she looked down, she saw a host of little folk singing and dancing in the valley. Their dancing feet wore shoes of green, and they had little golden jackets and little green pants. Their song was so inviting, the young girl ran down to see them. "Good evening," she said, remembering to make a very polite bow. "I'm looking for the stars in the sky. Can you guide me?" "Oh," they sang out, "the stars shine here on the grass we dance upon. Come, join our dances, and you will find them." The young girl took the hands of two of the little folk who were about the same size as she and joined in their round ring dance. Round and round they danced and danced as the stars glimmered and twinkled around their feet. But it was only their light and not the stars. "I've come so far and I've looked everywhere, but the stars are not down here. Please," she cried, "won't you tell me how to find them?" "Well, since you are so determined, we will give you this advice." And the little folk began to sing. "Ask 4 feet to carry you, to no feet at all, then tell no feet at all to carry you, to the stairs without steps. If you can climb way on up them, then you will be among the stars in the sky at last. And if you're not there, you'll be somewhere else." The young girl thanked the little folk and set off with a smile. She kept her eyes open, watching carefully, singing the little folk's song to herself. "Ask 4 feet to carry you, to no feet at all," and on she walked. Just as she was growing tired again, she saw ahead of her a beautiful silver horse underneath a big tree. "Good evening," she said. "I've been traveling so long to find the stars in the sky. Will you carry me some? I am so weary." "I am here only to serve the little folk," said the horse. "But I was just dancing with them, and they told me to ask 4 feet to carry me to no feet at all." "Well, then, why didn't you say so?" said the horse. "I am 4 feet. Jump on my back." On and on they rode. 4 feet ran like the wind with the young girl on his back, through the woods, over the hills, until they came right up to the very edge of the land. Sliding down off 4 feet's back, the young girl thanked him, and he was gone. She stood looking out at the water. There, stretched out in front of her on the water, was a shining silver path of light. Her eyes followed the path as it ran straight out, 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 until it touched a beautiful rainbow arc that reached up, up, up into the sky. Just as she was wondering what to do next, she saw a big blue fish swimming along the silver path right up to the edge of the land where she stood. He poked his nose up out of the water and spoke. "Good evening. And why are you standing at the edge of the land?" "Good evening," she said. "I am looking for the stars in the sky. Can you help me?" "Maybe I can, and maybe I can't," said the fish. "Who brought you to the silver path?" "4 feet brought me here, and the little folk told me that no feet at all would take me to the stairs without steps." "Why didn't you say so? I'm no feet at all. Come, sit on my back and hold on tight." Out, out, out the silver path swam No Feet at all with the young girl on his back, until they came at last to the beautiful arc of all the colors of the rainbow. The young girl looked up, 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 and there at the very top of the arc she could see the twinkling stars. "Here you are," said No Feet at all. "It won't be easy to climb these stairs without steps, but if you are determined, you will be able to do it." So the young girl thanked the fish and began to climb up the stripes of colors. Up, up, up she climbed. The stairs were so slippery, and she had to hang on tight. Often she would begin to slip, but she always caught herself in time. The stars were high above her still, and the sea seemed so far away. She began to feel tired and a bit frightened, but she was so determined to get to the stars, she kept on climbing. Up, up, up she went. The air was so cold, and the stars were so bright. Finally, she reached the top of the arc. She watched in amazement as the stars danced and whirled around her. At last, she had done the one thing that was her greatest dream. She stood wrapped in her own joy for so long that she did not notice how cold it was. It was only when her body began to tremble and shake that she remembered where she was, and she looked down, down, down the arc of colors toward the earth below. But her home was so far away, she could see no lights below. Only the whirling, dancing, spinning light of the stars around her. She had a fleeting thought of her warm bed, and suddenly one star flashed near to her face. She reached up to touch it, but as she did, she lost her balance and began to slide down, 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 faster and faster and faster into the darkness. When she opened her eyes, the sun was shining through the crystals that hung in her window, and hundreds of rainbows danced on the walls and on her bed. "Oh, what a wonderful night I had! I did touch the stars!" But as she sat there on her own bed, in her own room, she thought, "Oh, I must have been dreaming." Then she yawned and stretched. But when she opened her hand, there on her palm was a brilliant, sparkling speck of starlight.